Hello boys, my name is Koyoshi. Get ready because this is the end of the inevitable. Hello guys, my name is Koyoshi. In the last video we did a little bit of blind exploring because we noticed that we had missed a couple of accessories. And in doing so we found a bunch of the legacy of the 7 accessories. But it's sad to say that we've been away a bit too much, and we're no longer going to run away from our fears of scary bosses anymore. So, yeah, my name is Yoshi, and in this video series, to try and make it a bit more fair to the aim, even though we did already defeat one of the super bosses as part of setting up our thing, we are going to be tackling every single super boss in this video. Yes, even the one we've already done. This is simply just to show off the power in the other setup. So, I figured out a bit more about this power setup. If you select challenge, then you can actually increase the super boss's level. You can do this up to several times, and if you do this enough times, it'll eventually become level 200. If you can get it to 200, you get a gold medal, which I guess is part of 100%, but I feel like it's kind of unfair at our setup, so I'm not going to consider it part of 100%, because honestly, in my opinion, I just want to defeat all of them once. That's why I never mentioned this video not be a full actual 100%, because I don't want to go for the maximum completion percent. If you're going for a max percent, you'd have to get them all for 200. But I just wanted to show you that if you challenge it again, you can actually challenge it at a higher level. We're going to do it at the initial level though, because with that, we don't want to destroy stuff. This is kind of the weak starter boss that it's kind of like Final Marcus from the original Xenoblade. It's really weak. Doesn't really have much of a damage. On the next video, we're probably going to have to actually plan around that AoE it does still left. You can instantly kill some people at its maximum potential, so that's definitely something we're going to want to do. If you're wondering why I set up a break topples in a specific setup, well, that's specifically for later, so you can do stuff. Speaking of which, I forgot to show my setup. Silly me. I'll show that off in a minute. I've made some small adjustments to my setup, mostly in the names of safety. For instance, this will look similar to another setup that another video person uses, but that's not actually the case. In fact, it's more the opposite, really. It does initially appear like it's the same setup, but oh wow, we got a launch right away. Because of that, we can actually just go into the chain right away. Normally, you have to use a launch combo. You want to use a launch combo with Cena and Lance to trigger the initial chain. That's really useful. It just helps you get a good setup up. Anyways, we want the character to be launched before we chain each time. This just ensures that we get the launch bonus with both our attackers, which will help them do the maximum damage. Alright. I'm gonna actually share the buff for that. This is just in case power charge was a buff. Honestly, it doesn't matter if we didn't get power charge as a buff, because another thing I forgot to mention with Fiona, and this is actually specifically why I picked her over Azara, who does do a lot more damage and has these slightly better damaging arc for chain attacks, is not only because she extends the round, is because one of her buffs is power charge, so it actually is a nice safety in chain attacks. And I've already mentioned how Fiona is arguably the most useful in chain attacks, so of course we're picking her right away when we get a chance to. I'm going to use this on purpose. I do not want to go over 100%, because 80 in particular. If we go over 80, that triggers animation kind of early, and we don't want to trigger that right away. Other than that, though, we'll do some quick attack damage. Mio, which is gonna have our character back again, and then we can start moving 300%. Okay, cool. We actually Uni. We actually want Uni this time around. This is so that, because her art animation is slightly quicker. Mostly though, Fiona's effect basically just gives us a little bit of safety in case we really need it. Anyways, we're gonna use this with Noah, and see, even with the Horde boost, it did a lot of damage. It's about 50% of losses right there. Just gone in a matter of minutes. Use this, just takes an extra damage as. Normally, you'd actually want to have a couple of buffs there, because then we could set up the Orbo's finisher later to do a lot of damage, but we don't have that yet. I'm going to use this now. Ideally, we'll want to get an attacker back for 200%, but this is the luck part. Coming this last part, we can potentially get really screwed here and not actually get them back for a long time. This can just be really screwy sometimes, as you could say it did happen. So the big difference with the extra effect is if we want to, we can go for Uni's finisher or the Fairy finisher both at the same time. Okay, so thankfully Fiona, thankfully our other character did come back. Thankfully. That's important because we want to use both of them at some point to share buffs, even though we could technically use Noah for a bit more damage. Idea is I want to pass this power charge back around. We can pass that power charge back around, which, by the way, that also grants attack up, which is pretty nice. Then we could potentially do a bit more damage. Other than that, no, not a lot to be said otherwise. We'll try this art set first, just because it's slightly more damaging, and also so we can get the Ion finisher guaranteed. And that's why I went for it. I figured it would probably kill him, and it did. That was convenient. Alright, well, first boss down already. Yeah, I almost forgot to show this out. So yeah, of course I'm gonna show this out now, so before I forget again, let's show this chat up. Noah is set up almost exclusively for damage and has fiber reps, which boost damage to launch enemies, as well as a boost to launch enemies in his effect. You can see the full setup. Actually, I may as well show the full setup, whatever. Nice back for an extra break. This, in hindsight, could probably, owed because I have this on Lance, but it's fine. We want to have a topple. Oh, I just realized, yeah, Noah is our toppler. But we do have a second topple on Mino as a backup. Anyway, we have Demolition for the Nord defense, which is nice. But in 4 and next, because it has a really high damage multiplier, which makes it really strong in chain attacks in particular. For Mio, she has extra quick draw as a backup in case she needs to evade attacks, but otherwise, I've kind of changed up her setup a bit. She's a Lost Vanguard. The setup recommends using her in her Zephyr class, but honestly, I feel like more HP is probably better for some of these fights, so I put her in this instead, because I know this is a really good class. I've removed E-Beat for our electrical field, because we kind of need that buff more than the other one, and we don't necessarily want to smash right away. Each character has their default art setup, by the way. Other than that, Uni has set up specifically for damage, including having 2 evasion arts, so if the AI decides to be good with her, they can occasionally evade arts, which can help keep her alive. For Tyon, we have Multi-Blast, other stuff, and he's also our launcher. I actually was going to do other effect steps. Though, hindsight, we probably don't be the launch, but I'm gonna keep this anyways. The idea was I was hoping to use this as an effect that would just increase the damage. I think the previous one actually recommends using another advanced cooldown. But I'm gonna keep it like this because I'm worried we might put up too many bubbles up soon. I know there's a limit on how many bubbles we can have. Anyways, then we've set up a little bit differently. He is in the class that they recommended, which was Lone Exile, but he has 2 breaks instead of 1, because remember, we have DLC now, and that was made back before the DLC was introduced, back when you could only have 1 break on these sides, so we have 2 breaks now, so it's definitely a lot more effective, but it's still useful. But anyways, Cena's the most interesting one. We have a second bubble, and this is important to ensure Cry of Faith is gotten as soon as possible. Myopic Scream simply for its fast cooldown, and that's why we actually have Myopic Scream on a lot of our characters, is for its fast cooldown so we can get into Orbos sooner. Speaking of which, we're probably going to add in all the Orbos forms for certain battles as backups if we need to. And then Shadow Eye, because for a reason in Chain Attack, it allows us to pass Power Charge without need to do a setup, but also grant Attack Up, which is just really useful, and because it also grants the buff to the allies, that means we'll always have an attack buff whenever we use it, making her very overpowered. Fiona just has default buffs, nothing else changes. We did put crystal earrings on her for a little bit of a faster chain attack, but again, that was just to make sure that we got chain attack. Alright, now for arts. No wait, actually no, skills are next. So we have varying powers for physical damage increase, this for critical strike damage bonus, dynamic spirit for 60% boost because we already have universal annihilation, which boosts damage to topple and launched enemies by 150%, so we use this instead because once Noah gets healed, he's gonna be at 9% health anyway, so that's a flat damage increase. Mio is actually set up with the exact same setup as she would before, even though you guys have a set, because this is just flat, so being able to evade rage attacks is actually quite nice. So mage and expertise for that reason, fighting prowess just to improve her aggro, defense soul for extra defense. Then since Uni uses mostly ether arts in this class, she has ether damage increase, critical strike damage bonus, and boost damage dealt to topple and launched enemies by 150% again. Tyon will have our soul hack, because remember, we're still trying to get the soul ultimate defeated enemies, and since we're not using soul hacker in the setup, we want to make sure that somebody has it. Decided to give Tyon that. I think you typically would put like another healing ability in a setup. And then there's another one I think that they recommended using instead of Ninja Healer. I gave Tyon Ninja Healer just so he wouldn't dry go, because he's the reviver. Kind of don't want him to die, and he does have a couple of healing arts since he is in like Sage rather than Signifier, so we want to make sure we keep it alive. Otherwise, we have increased field direct effect duration, which is really helpful. And then Lance is basically set up like the setup with Jest, which he has the first of the AoE buffs, so this boosts all of our accuracy and evasion by 20%. This is really useful for Superbosses, obviously. This one boosts damage dealt to toppled and launched targets by 150%. Again, damage bonus. And then Cena is probably the most interesting setup. We have strengthening Gambit, duration of buffs are increased by 50%. Protectors try just to get out our useful buffs sooner in case people start getting targeted that are defenders and start dying. That just saves a lot of time. Boost allies damage by 30% and reduces enemy block rate by 50%. This is another really useful one-time buff. Definitely useful to have. And then for gems, she's has one different buff, and that's about it. Otherwise, we have boost power of buffs and extend duration of buffs on Xena. This just ensures that our buffs are as powerful as possible. Boost aid of ally revival is an extra safety. Lance is basically the setup from the video that I was watching. It has steel protection for block rate, increased attack power, and some boosted aggro generation just to help out. Taion is basically a reviver character, so he has both soothing breath and life-saving expertise in the same setup, which just helps us get allies up quicker, which we're gonna see a lot of ally deaths, especially near the end. Healing by 45, 5 since he is healing. Acts slightly into healing. You need basically set up with attack, dexterity, critical hit damage bonus. Noah with basically the exact same setup. This is the one that's a little bit different. This one focused more on Mio being an agility tank since she was in Zephyr, but since she's no longer in Zephyr, we have her with block rate increase, Brimming Spirit instead of extra damage. I think the one that they wanted to implement was Empowered Combo, but the AI doesn't actually really cancel that much, so it ends up being better to just use aggro generation instead. And Iron Cry, of course, for the extra HP. And then, finally, accessories. I think I already showed most of these off, but Noah has a tap boost, because this one is particularly good since it modifies all of your attack damage. Boost damage to launch enemies by 110%. Fusion Arts by 60%. Fusion Arts are always used in chain attacks, so that's very useful. She has the Martis Reigns for block rate increase, which is really busted. Boost damage dealt attacking higher level enemies by 60%, because I couldn't find any other of a boost for now. And we're going to be fighting higher levels anyway, so I guess it makes more sense. Eventually I'm probably going to replace this with another ceramic belt, but for now, he also has a HP increase. In hindsight, probably should have equipped that on, so we'll fix that real quick. You need basically 5 laps, just like Noah, but also has Saturni Reigns for 40% attack boost instead of 32. And the big Looney Reigns, which boosts damage dealt by Fusion Arts. Since we're going to be using her more than any other character, we definitely want her to be very strong. And then Taion is set up with Devotional Necklace, which recovers 100% of his recharge upon reviving an ally, which is really nice for getting out healing really quick. Solace Reigns, just for like extra healing boost, which really helps out. And you'll gear Choker as an extra safety, just to make sure he doesn't take aggro. Lance also has Titanium Tevilgar, but also has a Break Brooch to lower target's break resist. And I've set him up with the Hero's Bad Braces instead of Ceramic Bell again, because we're going to be fighting a lot of higher level enemies, so it's going to help out a lot. You'll see in a minute. And then this one is the more fun setup. She has a second accessory that boosts recharge speed when non-defenders are targeted. The Turtle Badge. This again makes sure that she can get her arts out if Val's doing wrong. You can see how useful this is. Carbon Gloves for boosting dexterity by 32%. Crystal Lanes for built chain attack gauge slightly on art execution. It's because we're going to be controlling her for all these battles. It is going to look boring at first, but trust me, this is like the optimal way to play most of the game. Although, in most regular scenarios, letting the AI control both characters and instead showing either Noah or Uni is probably better, but this setup, in my opinion, is slightly better. Alright. So, that was finally done. Let's take a look at what the next setup is. Well, I'll show exactly that now. So, the next Super Boss setup, we haven't done any of these. Conveniently are both in the Ayalta region. And by the way, you need to get the other bosses defeated first before you can actually challenge the super one. And you have to discuss it at a rest point too. So we're going to be doing all of that in one video. So this video will be either Super 1 or Super Short. It really depends. Anyways, time to face this big boy. Remember the monster we just kind of avoided? Yeah, we're gonna fight him. Seems like he cannot be fought from this particular point, though. So, in hindsight, I probably should have pulled him more up here. This seems to be, like, the best highest point, so... Tell you what, we're gonna start the battle again, but it'll be up here. And note, yes, I am not cutting out anything in the battles, because I prefer to actually show what is happening in the battles and the setup to actually do the battles, because if we don't see that, then there's no way we'd even know what to do. Oh my gosh. It'd be useful if we could actually find this must. We should reach now with all that. There we go. There we go. Now we're finally in battle. This one barely has the level advantage, but it's more like a Final Virus. Noah dying right away is not the best. He is really strong damage dealer. Iron Giant in particular is very terrible, so let's hope we don't get that off. Oh wow. There's already another enemy coming in. The annoying thing about this enemy is that there's not really a good spot to fight Curly and Rayo. In hindsight, it probably could have pulled him a bit more further back, but there's not really a good spot. Yeah, one of the AoEs is probably going to pull that and my boy off. If it would actually target. We'll have to kill this one off. We'll use focus attack so we can get it down a bit quicker. Get more buffs on everyone. I just realized the setup of this one probably not work as intended now, because he's in a weird spot, so he might not actually pick KO. And the first break misses. Oh, I canceled a bit early. So this is one of the weirder battles. So you're probably wondering, why is my break failing a lot? So, if setting up a certain battle set wasn't already tough, with like, considering there's so many tough battles that could just be really brittle to deal with, well, this one's even more annoying in the fact that, this guy has the single highest break resistance in the entire game. If I were to estimate it, it's probably about 50 to 90% or so. This means, or actually assuming it was 100% set up from before, then that means we only have about a 25% chance to break him, since we have a break resistance reduction by 25%, which means, yeah, every time we do a break on him, there's only a 75% chance it'll actually work. So, rather than trying to deal with him normally, it's safer and more consistent to just go into a chain sooner, but just have no other art setups get used. And if you need to, you could try and break in the chain attack, which it is possible to do, since we do have a great art in there. But other than that, this is actually probably one of the more frustrating battles. Despite it being supposedly much easier, much less harder to deal with, this fight is super annoying simply due to the fact that, like I said, break can just be really awkward sometimes to do properly. So yeah, it's not easy by any means. Let me use this instead of that previous one. So yeah, each of these artifacts supposedly only has a 25% chance to break, so, and that might not even be correct. It might be only a 10% chance to fail. So because of that, It's very rare that we actually get a break on this fight at all, and it's really nasty. I'm gonna do things a bit differently this time. I want to actually try and get a Bravo order this time. In fact, for that specific reason, I'm gonna use Noah a bit early. Well, to build up his extra TP and to try and force a Bravo order with Peony, which will get us 2 characters back guaranteed. We use Tyon Zard as a setup to help out with that. Cool, we got exactly 99%. I think eventually we're gonna have to pull him to the bottom here. I think I initially might have fought this guy at one point, but I kind of stopped eventually. We did not get a good luck set, by the way. Neither of our attackers came back at all. We can go for Tyon next, though, and trigger the Ouroboros finisher early, so we'll at least have that. And another guaranteed Bravo at this time. No 200% art so far, though, so not good luck. Okay, forget what I said about this fight being risky. We're okay. Like I said, just one of the more annoying fights simply because, like I said, this guy is a really high break resistance for some reason. So yeah, good luck actually getting buffs against him. Anyways, now we get to see the full power of the chain attack. That's actually one good thing about this sub is we actually get to see the full power of the chain attack now instead of having nothing. So depending on how many buffs are on the party, that will heavily increase the amount of damage dealt. Got some 100,000 damage hits in there as well. Now this is gonna really be busted. Because this is based off of the amount of damage. So yeah, already a 2 million damage hit there. Before even triggering the second animation. And then this attack had about 400,000 damage or something. So yeah, about 11 million or so chain attack there. That was 10 billion, whatever. That was very strong. Anyways. Second official KO on one of those super bosses. I like how it still shows deserves about boss because I still haven't unpinned it. But it's not really that big of a deal. It's honestly not that different. Thankfully, from here, it should be fairly straightforward to take the others out. We're basically just going in between areas now. The next one is located in basically the same area that we found the trick cave in before, which is Maktawalha Lower, in the Forgotten Trick Gate. This is kind of a tricky area to find as well. It's definitely not easy by any means. You can see why I waited a little while to do this, because I was a bit worried, because some of these super bosses are actually quite strong. This one has a lot of AoE, but at least this one's a little bit easier to break, so hopefully it won't take as long. It's the first boss that has a significant level advantage, though. Eventually, you're going to be fighting the bosses on the red difficulty, and the final one is going to be level 120 by default, so even just with that is actually quite difficult. I will admit, though, busting them up to 200 will definitely give you a lot of replay value. My setup is probably decently set up for this. Like, I actually set up 3 heals initially with the idea that I might lose one of my healers early. So I'm setting this up just in case we need it. Vent's cooldown is also a pretty fast recharge. But yeah, this one just has a bunch of AoE. He has knockback and some other abilities like Crushing Bite that could just really destroy opponents really quickly. Honestly, it doesn't matter if the DPS die. In fact, you're probably going to see them die a lot. They do not have aggro set up for, like, aggro reduction. So they can easily die, but we kind of want them to die. No, not so much, because we do want the super damage. Okay, we already got damage boost. This happened quite early on in the fight, though, so... yeah, we're not going to get the chain off on this first one. It's still a nice thing, though, because we stunned him for a little bit. That's the big thing is, by setting up the break and topple, I was hoping I could maybe stun the bosses a bit longer. Because there is another strategy you can use to beat them, where you can just spam daze and, well, infinitely, to just basically semi-infinitely stun lock them. And it can work really well if you know what you're doing. I was not close enough. So I was not spamming out the buff nearly as fast as I wanted to. Alright, I'm gonna do things a bit safer though. We're gonna get our attack up to 100%. I'm gonna specifically go into Lance's art. Then switch to Lance. Try the launch combo. Fails. I'm gonna quickly do a single art. Oh wow, I somehow went really far away there. He's invincible now. So. Oh, I barely got it up in time. Tried launch the second time. Unfortunately, it did not work both times, which is kind of unlucky. Now we wait even longer. Honestly, as long as we get a break, we're probably fine, and we can probably just chain attack there, but have somebody use a topple at some point. Fiona got hit really bad, so she's probably gonna die in a minute. Or not. And we got... oh, okay. We got the topple. Can safely go in now. Got kind of an annoying pattern. I'm gonna go with Tyon again. Again, this is to force Uni's finisher later. Not what we wanted, though. Because I don't know if Uni's percent's gonna be really high now, so we're probably gonna have to use her a second time, which means we're not gonna get a guaranteed problem on this next order. Well, actually, if we do a reverse... oh. I don't know. Anyways, it kind of messed up. Ideally, we get an attacker first, or Uni, and then just use both attackers. The ideal scenario is to have Noah show up here, because then I'd use him right away. Use this. Just make sure everyone has buffs. That attack up is definitely really nice. Anyways, I'm going to launch with Lunge during the chain attack, and that should fix our problem. Now we have our launch going. Now all of our parts are buffed by 150% on the 2 attacking classes, which should help us do a lot of damage. Yeah. So if you're wondering why I specifically chose to do the secondary arts specifically like this, like to force this out, well, that's because I wanted to be able to do a different setup here. I'm actually gonna I can't really do the double attacker setup like I wanted to now, so I think I'm gonna have to go straight into Neo now, just to try and immediately get a second character back. I think that was my mistake before. I think I went into Tyon too soon before. So I want to go straight into here to get our character back, but we won't get our make off because of that. Ideal scenario, we would have just used both of our attackers first, actually, and that would guarantee that we get one of them back, and then we just use that one on the second round to try and start Luke being 150% damages to build up our damage multiplier. By the way, the secondary idea with using Fiona is mainly the fact that she extends the chain attack by another round, and my idea is that will be slightly more damage than just doing the other strat. And that's the main reason why I used her over Azura, simply because if we can actually set up the extra round properly, then typically we'll do more damage than the other strategy. And it also allows you to and it's also probably the best way to do a lot of damage anyway, since if you set it up properly, you can hit like some stupidly busted damage numbers in this game. So obviously I want to use that, make the most out of it. It's also slightly safer for chain attacks, because even if you don't have power charge, it'll just give you it. Also, there's a chance that Fiona just won't show up, though. If Fiona doesn't show up, though, that's when it gets really trolly. Alright, I'm gonna... Since I did Tyon early, I still haven't done Uni yet. Let's do Pinion Prime so we trigger the nice, good animation. We'll use Fiona a bit early to boost our damage a little bit. We'll share our own buffs again with Cena, just to make sure the power charge is passed back, and we also get an attack boost back. We can actually then use Mio safely here for 150% at least, so not bad. One of these okay, we don't even need the full chain, thankfully. For most of these parts, we don't really need the full chain. Most of the time, just a little bit of that, just and there we go. That's the Dreadworm beaten. Took a little while to start up, but we ultimately finished the fight. Looks like this is gonna end up being a longer battle. I think to balance this out, I might only be doing 2 videos. I don't know yet, but my third one might end up being slower anyways. So if you wanted to find evil Dragon Eyes faster, you would use the day setup and just fight this guy at his lowest level is probably the best idea, but not always that smart though, I guess. Yeah. It's quite brutal. Now, thankfully, I do know where most of these are, and I know one of them has to be in Sword March, which is one of the last areas in the game that you would go to. Yeah. Ugh. Trying to go on to my video, really I'm letting you have some stuff. Hey, give me a minute. I'm gonna pause this video. I want to make sure I know where this guy is. Alright guys, we're back. So, yeah, I probably should have been a little bit smarter playing this hindsight, because, like, you know the boss that I mentioned from before that, I said that we would be skipping initially because he was, like, really high and not really high leveled and not really that easy to beat, and also you'd sometimes side, which I get very offered. Well, we're gonna fight that guy right now. The boss I'm talking about is the Leviard or whatever. It's the super boss form of those big water dragons we were seeing before, only it's in a pretty interesting location in that it's basically in the very corner of the whole map of Kanenchia. I'll show you its precise location. Obviously, we haven't gotten it yet since we haven't reached its location yet, but it's kind of tricky at first to get, though, because it's another sealed off area. You can't go into it by default, but if you get off of your ship and then just start swimming from this gosh darn slow and sealed area, you'll be able to sneak into a secret area, and this is where it dwells. It's basically in a completely side area. Once that's done, you'll see a monster off in the distance, and I don't know what else to say. There's our super boss, which we're going to kill, and then, yeah, we're gonna get Sam, and that's that. This is where the super bosses start to get really hard, because now it's actually red level this time to use, so that means our accuracy is going to be lower with some of our attacks. Hopefully we get accuracy up as one of the buffs pretty early. There's also the second battle that could potentially be fought in the water. The third one can actually be fought in the water as well, though I think if you knock it into the water, it'll actually cancel its attack. So, yeah, no chances doing that. Alright, anyways, here we have Leveler Imperial. He has a big hitbox, so it doesn't take that long to start the battle. He has a little bit of AoE that can be very annoying sometimes, though. The idea is you hopefully want to get buffs off before this happens, but it can sometimes get away. Noah didn't survive the initial step set, so now we have to wait for Tyon to actually do his thing. This is the first boss that might actually have a few problems. Ew, I'm so happy to know what you're doing. And also, he just has a lot of AoE. There we go. I think Fiona by default also has the buff sharing, so that'll help out a lot. Anyways, we got to our rank level 110, so let's try the Xenoblade thing again. I think Launch and Smash are the fastest arts we have, so we'll spam those two. Switch to Lance and try to get the launch combo off. Okay, it worked this time. So we have the launch combo off now. Now we're gonna cancel. And no, you're not silly. I was mashing the button. For those of you who don't know, when you drop back into the water, there's a slight delay before you'll actually chain attack. So we had to wait for that to end, and now we are finally actually chain attacking. So again, kind of get really unlucky here. I don't think I've seen Noah a single time in this effect, but thankfully Fiona's setup is super safe that we do not need to see Noah right away. It's just we'd be able to do more damage if we have Noah. Because again, this guarantees that we can just finish the first two rounds with both our attackers and guarantee that we get an attacker back. Whereas with this strat, we have to do it slightly different instead, which is really annoying. And this one kind of like, just because, yeah, it's kind of annoying. We're gonna use Gale Slash. Since we already have a launch, there's no real point in using another launch. It's not a bad starting art though, by all means. It at least reduces his defense slightly, but we still kind of want Noah right away. There we go. Got Noah the second time. Now the idea with the sub is if we get forced into an Ouroboros art early, we can at least get one of the other Ouroboros completed. That's basically the safety with Fiona is if you get the right setup, you can ensure that you have late sweat of the order safely. Because we messed up, we're gonna have to do the same thing we did the last time. Use this and probably just go straight into Mio again so that we can immediately use a boost special. Just give us our Mega Assault right away. So, because of our damage multiplier is going to be a bit lower, but it is what it is. But thankfully we got Fiona, so that's not bad. I'm surprised this game is literally going basically the exact same as the first time we did this. This is literally a mimic of what happened last time. I can't believe the game is just giving me this diet Charlie, but ideally just get Noah right off the bat. But so far, we've just gotten really unlucky. Remember, chains are pure RNG. I don't know what the worst possible setup is, but probably it would include Neo, Lance, and Cena in the same room. We wouldn't want to see that, because then we'd be pretty much forced to use Neo for the reasons of wanting to get the extra chain art. Thankfully, we haven't seen that yet. Okay, we did get Uni. We're going to immediately use her for the stronger attack art. And also, because E for defense, I think, is fell on the series, and considering that she is also attacker, that'll help out a lot. And, okay, we don't need it. By the way, I'm not actually doing a full chain on most of these battles. I am going to full chain the final boss, just to show you how busted the damage is, but we probably don't really need that strong effect. Okay, we got power pick-me-up from that one. By the way, some of the skills of the strongest skills can only be gotten by taking the strongest monsters out, so if you wonder why I haven't done the Solakru grind yet, well, this is specifically why. Now, this gravestone, for some reason, will not always show on the map. It's kind of weird, if you ask me. Anyways, this is where the gravestone would appear if you were to fight this eye. You're kind of a tedious monster. You can't really fit your ship in here, so you have to basically walk the long way the first time you get to this spot. It takes a little bit while, but we'll show where he is, Gravestone is, in case you want to fight him again. But anyways, that is finally done, and the rest of the problems are now been solved. This is as close to Stern Munch. We'll do the discussion here, just because it saves a bit of time. We're gonna do this, and then, bam, we're gonna fight the last super boss of the game here. The ultimate boss, the one that everyone doesn't like. This is the one really, really, really hard opponent. It's gonna come especially frustrating, especially on 200% mode. Note, we are still playing on normal because no point in changing it to hard. The hard battles are probably even rougher. I dare not see what that would be like. Anyways, finally get to discuss this, and we get to hear one of the most unique sessions in the game. We got really strong, didn't we? Yes. What brought this on? He and I were just having a chinwag. We'd taken down some top monsters, yeah. Like a couple, but loads, right? We've beaten monsters all the way up and down the Alanos. Every enemy we met, we annihilated. I'm pretty sure we could take on anything the world throws us. And you know the great sword of the sea was? Folks are saying there's a mega super strong monster there. Can we go and test ourselves against it? Try and smack it around a bit? Please, May, can we? Are you sure? It's like we said, ain't no better in the world holds a candle to us now. That's right, B, I believe in us so much. Taeyeon, say something. Don't look at me, I don't speak Vien. My muscles firm with anticipation. An eager fire is burning inside me. I haven't said yes yet. So, it seems like you just get bonus experience, but this is a 100% required discussion. Until you do this, the final monster will not spawn. So by doing that, the final monster is now spawned in the game, and now we can find it. And I'm going to show you exactly that. Thankfully, they don't have to search up a location. The location is basically revealed to us. It's in here, in the very end of the game. Well, in one of the last areas you initially intend to explore, and that's Sword March. I'll show you the full walk just to show how you would get to this without using any EFs. Because Sword March does not have a default landmark, so if you didn't defeat the other big boss over there, which we did do at one point for every step, so you would have to kind of drop off the side and slowly make your way down here. You're actually supposed to make your way on the right side, but by using the geometry correctly, we can actually just get down faster. Yeah. And then our spot we want to go to is about around here. Hopefully we do not fail this battle the first time, because we would have to walk the long way down each time. Thankfully, once you defeat this boss on any difficulty, his lifesteal will respawn. Basically, you just blindly charge into the middle of nowhere. And I think one of these other areas. And eventually, this big monster will probably come out of the middle of nowhere. I could be wrong. Like I said, though, the first part of it has basically already been done for us. We don't need to worry about looking at the monster right now. We just need to actually find that. That is assuming we can actually find the monster. I think it's actually more around this side, but I know it's at the bottom of this. Oh, hello. Okay, we found it. The fight... A cutscene just triggered, so the fight is about to start. Yeah, Lance, it really does look empty, man. So you apparently get this cutscene the very first time you fight the super boss monster, which is kind of interesting. And then this big storm happens. What the? Huh? Yeah, this looks right. Whoa! Okay. This is quite the cutscene here. Gosh dang, they still pull out their original weapons, even though we still haven't used them yet. I'll leave that. So this is the ultimate battle. I didn't know that it was a cutscene battle. Looks like we do have the upgraded weapons since we had upgraded them from the previous battle. And yes, there's a unique theme, by the way. The Super Boss has an exclusive theme exclusive to it and only it. So that's really cool. We actually get a completely different theme exclusively from this boss. Now, as it's the strongest boss in the game, that means it's probably going to have a lot of AoE. I like this theme, by the way, so far. It's really cool. It's nice to have a different theme once in a while. Now you can see why we're going to want this buff class so much. You definitely want to get buffs on this guy right away. If we do not, then he's going to very quickly start destroying us. Yeah, Uni already died. Honestly, we kind of want them to die so that Tyon can revive them at some point. I think that was actually the only revive there, but that'll help us out. So yeah, the double setup for topple and launch and double break. This is specifically for these battles, so we can potentially have them good. Okay, Tyon's actually doing his job. The big thing is, as you can see, he'll randomly OPO characters. I think his ultimate flight might be a one-shot mechanic, so it might cause instant death. And unlike before, I think in Xenoblade 1 there's a way you can block that, but not in Xenoblade 3 as far as I'm aware, so every time that attack will typically lose a character. It has a lot of strong attacks too. Because of this, we're going to try to end the battle as soon as possible. Might have to delay a bit though, because With this one in particular, chances are a couple of our characters will die, so as an extra safety, I'm actually going to throw everyone into Ouroboros. This might mess up the setup, but the idea is hopefully they won't do the daze combo. Okay, I think I canceled properly. So that Ouroboros was really just for safety. It ensured that everybody stayed alive for the attack, and oh wow. I don't know why I said that there was a worse set. Figures, of course, when I'd say that Mia, whatever is the worst set, of course we get that right off the bat. Gosh, dang it. So now we're forced to use Mio super early. This is probably the worst RNG we've gotten in a while. This might actually really be awkward too, since my effector set up now. It's possible we might not kill him, because remember, this is the strongest boss in the game. It's possible we might not kill him because of this effect that happened. The good news though is at least we have our launch. At least we have our launch, so it's not the end of the world. We're still going to do full damage. It's just going to be a slightly longer chain. Honestly, it doesn't matter because I want to show the full chain duration anyways, just to show you how broken chains can be if we get Fiona. Honestly, okay, getting Uni is not bad, so you at least have 1 and 2 DPS arts to use, but again, we kind of are forced to change slowly because we don't get nearly as much percent. Ideally, you get at least 1 attacker during the first art's cooldown setup, but we didn't get that both times, which was very unlucky. The damage is going to be slightly off. I think the optimal order I particularly want is Noah, then get Fiona one of the 2 arcs just to make sure we get the charge back. Use Yurni during the second arc if she's available. Or Tyon as a backup if we can't find Yumi. Then use, ideally in a good scenario, Noah's chain art to get his Ouroboros form active. And then use Uni or Tyon's art. Ideally, Tyon's art is gotten second, and then we just choose him as the second art use after we get Fiona's thing done. That'll be our extra art, and we will have now completed 5 arts. Well, sometimes we might have to go into the Ouroboros already, depending on their luck, because if we don't get an attacker back on these setups, it can get pretty difficult. Also, because of the unluckiness, I'm not going to get a 200% now. So no Bravo this time. That's another problem. We won't get amazing sometimes with the other effects. On the other hand, third one is slightly safer in the way that it at least guarantees an amazing art, so you won't be completely screwed when it comes to Ouroboros chain attacks. This one is looking really bad, so I'm gonna actually do Tyon first specifically, because if we don't have enough arts to complete the effect, we're not going to get the extra damage buff, which is kind of annoying, but thankfully Fiona will actually save part of this effect. Another thing I forgot to mention about Fiona, she does also give a slight buff to your TP range in battle, so in general it's a nice safety from chain attacks if you really need to. But mainly the power charge is where the real damage comes from. Be able to use power charge on these arts constantly, it'll really help us do a lot of that. It's okay, we really caught up with the damage there. Anyway, it's kind of a wacky chain attack, but we're recovering so far. Let's see what we actually get back. Okay, we can at least complete an arc with that, so that's not terrible. If we do it in reverse order, okay, we did not get Noah, so we're forced into building Ascension anyway. Honestly, I don't care. We'll be able to use Infernal Dance on Noah. And already we killed. Yeah, see, we didn't even need that. At level 200, this probably wouldn't have killed. I'm just saying. Alright, I'm gonna share the buff nows, so we can get buffs on everyone. Tyon is gonna just use attack. It's gonna extend his power charge buff, but that's not really a big deal. I want to show the full attack by way at least once, both because it's more interesting, and two, I want to actually show you the full damage. Anyways. Alright, let's see how strong this Oracle's part is gonna be. I'm very interested. 700,000 on the first hit. Almost 2 million on the second hit. That was without the full damage effect, so like, if we get all 5 arts, then it does even more damage. 1 million on each of those arches, so yeah, about 23 million damage chain attack there. Very busted, and we got Transient Bond from him, which is gonna probably come up a lot later. So, there we go. We defeated all the Superbosses, and we faced off and collected all of the Soul Hack abilities. I'm going to actually need to end this episode now because we did a lot of battling. I feel like we deserve a little bit of a... Thankfully, that was honestly not that bad, but keep in mind, I'm only showing the weakest version of these monsters. I think I forgot to mention this. I am not upgrading any of these monsters to 200 for this playthrough. I am showing them only in their default form. That means they are always going to be in their weakest format. If you want to see a level 200 battle, look somewhere else. But we defeated all the Superbosses, and it's safe to say I think we kind of completely wrapped them. As you can see, as long as you have a player-controlled, well, just any signifier for that matter, but particularly 2 player-controlled characters, or 1 player-controlled character, that controls, Signifier, and also have Fiona, or Azure, you can use either one, and they both have success, but I picked Fiona just because she has some nice extra safety and chain attacks by giving us an extra choice, which allows us to more freely play with our chain armor as a backup if we really need to, which is nice. Anyways, it allows us to do some busted damage. And that's basically how you kill all the Superbosses. In fact, this is so useful, we're probably going to use this for the challenges as well. Let's be honest, I probably should have used this to begin with. This is basically going to be my new challenge setup. It should allow me to win all the challenges pretty easily. But there might be some that I'd be tough, although as long as I player control Cena, it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. So anyway, that is the end of the episode. Sorry guys, we're not going to be doing anything else, but... Anyways, exciting how we took out the Superbosses, but we have to end this episode now, I'm sorry. If you like, you enjoyed, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video where we're going to begin the exploratory segments of the videos. Until then, bye.